कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वविकर्मणि.
Work without being vexed. Work without any crookedness. Work wholeheartedly. Don't work for the sake of campaigning. What we need is not publicity but purity of mind. Therefore, we must work throughout our life to attain purity of mind. A quote from Sadhguru Sri Nanagaru's speech.
Karmas can be broadly classified into Nithya karma, Naimittika karma, Kamya karma, and Nishita karma. Nithya karma refers to the daily activities to sustain the body and the family. Naimittika karma is done based on a particular situation. For example, when we are invited to a specific marriage or a function, we attend the same. That is, the activities that arise on a limited basis based on the situation are referred to as Naimittika karmas. Kamya karma refers to those activities which are done only out of desire though we don't need them. Nishita karma implies that we should give up those activities God has forbidden us to do in the Gita.
Performing Nithya karma is inevitable. Naimittika karmas are also unavoidable for a householder as human beings are social beings. However, it is mentioned in the scriptures that one should reduce their kamya karmas. Kamya karmas are reflected more in the actions of those people for whom selfishness has become their sole motive. Activities performed for the sake of fame also constitute kamya karma. If we work only for work's sake, then it does not become kamya karma but becomes nishkama karma, that is, selfless action. Even nishkama karma is yoga. Annihilating the tendencies of previous births is more difficult than earning money or education. The tendencies get eradicated when the work is done as yoga. Even nishkama karma aids in the destruction of tendencies. When there is no expectation towards the fruit of action, the mind will not get wavered. Nishkama karma refers to work done without any desire. Bhagavan Ramana said, "When you ask God for something, God grants you only that. If you don't ask Him of anything, He bestows you with everything you need and ultimately blesses you with liberation."
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि.
You only have the right to act. You may say that you are working hard to perform an act, but you are not sure whether the required result will come or not. It is a different matter whether the result comes or not, but you must do your duty. If your mother does not possess a necklace, you should not abandon her altogether. You must do your duty towards your mother. You must look after her as prescribed by God. You can accept if your mother offers anything even without your desire. There is nothing wrong with it. But if you ask her for anything, then it becomes a fault. Though you may not like to do a particular activity, you must perform the same since God has prescribed it. We must not do a particular activity though we may like it if God has forbidden the same. We must do whatever God has prescribed us to do. If we do so, it will take us to the highest state. Therefore, even if you consider certain activities to be good, abandon them if God has forbidden them. It is because your intellect cannot grasp whatever God has told you. You should not give up the work that must be done and should not perform the forbidden work. God decides what is doable and forbidden, not your intellect.
In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said, "You only have the right to work and not on the result thereof. Perform the work in hand with devotion. Don't get elated or proud if you succeed, and don't get depressed if you fail." Both joy and depression are disorders. Both of them are harmful. Maintain your poise whether you get the desired result or not. Your behavior should not differ whether you succeed or fail. If you behave thus, you will be rooted in ignorance. You will be bound if you attain anything out of desire. You will be deluded when you are bound. You will have to take innumerable rebirths when you are deluded. As I am asking you to sacrifice the fruit of the work, don't sacrifice the work itself. I am asking you not to desire the necklace of the old lady at home, but I am not asking you to abandon her forever. Accept the necklace only if she gifts you, but don't desire it. To whom does the old lady belong? Don't forget that she belongs to me. I exist within that jiva. By serving that jiva, you will attain my grace.
As per chapter 2, verse 47 of the Bhagavad Gita, you have the right to work only, but never to its fruits. Therefore, let not the fruits of action be your motive, nor let your attachment be to inaction.
Bala Gangadhar Tilak, the maker of modern India, liked this verse. Do the work in your hands. The result that has to come will come. The fruit of the work may be more or less as it depends on the grace of God. Therefore, do not leave the job on hand expecting the fruit. When you perform a good deed, never associate the I with it.
Upanishads say all this glory you see is the Lord Himself. You are given a tiny part of this glory. Therefore, you are offering it back to the Lord if you do not associate with it or don't aspire for the fruit of the action. Here is an example. One person made an idol of Lord Ganesha with jaggery. In the course of the prayers, he had to offer some food to the Lord. So, he immediately nipped a piece of jaggery from the idol and offered it back to the Lord. We have to offer back what the Lord has given us. This I spoils everyone. This I is the root cause of problems. Remove this I. Then there are no problems and no world.
You will get sorrow when there is expectation. You will get fear when there is expectation. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord narrated that expectation is the cause of all disasters. You can understand and experience what is meant by sorrow or fear. But what is meant by expectation? The expectation of the result of action implies that you desire the fruit of the effort to be in a particular manner. God is the bestower of the fruit of actions. You are eligible only to do the work. God decides when, where, and how the result of the action should be granted. He grants it irrespective of whether you ask for it or not. He will not give you more on asking Him or less on not asking Him. As you don't have faith in God, you expect your actions result. The mind gets extroverted when there is expectation. When there is no expectation, the mind gets introverted. You become fearless when there is no expectation. You may think that you may not get the fruit of your action when you work selflessly, but God certainly bestows you with the fruit for each of your actions.
Lincoln always lost in the elections. Still, he did not stop contesting in the next election. Though defeated in the election, he would return to work the next day. When anyone asked Lincoln, "How could you do it?" he replied, "The people got habituated in ensuring my election defeat, and I got habituated in contesting the election." When his wife expired, Lincoln contested the election within 15 days. When someone asked him if he was not sad about her death, he replied, "If I keep brooding over her death, will she ever come back? Hence I am recontesting in the election." Being fed up, the people of America, at last, made him the President of America.
Surendranath Banerjee was the first president of the Indian National Congress. Once while addressing a public meeting, someone among the crowd threw shoes upon him. Then he stopped his speech, lifted the shoes, and said, "This is the reward I am being given for all these years of service to the nation." Thus Surendranath was still not ripened. Had he been mature, he would not have uttered such sentences. If you get hurt by being insulted, it implies that you are craving for name and honor for your work.
Some people declare that they have achieved something or the other. Can they achieve it? No. Whatever God has accomplished for them, they claim they have achieved the same. Suppose you think that you have achieved this or that. It only indicates your doership, which is the cause of your sorrow. You may feel that you are forced to suffer only due to specific external reasons, but your doership is the only cause of your grief. You identify yourself with the non-self, that is, your body, mind, and intellect, which also cause your sorrow.
You may consider some people to be your own. But who will belong to you when your body does not belong to you? Therefore Adi Shankara said, "You belong to none and none belong to you." All these relations are but creations of the mind. You must remember one thing if you want to get reformed. You must not assimilate the disturbances existing at home or in society. As you lick the residue of a mango, you have learned to lick worldly affairs. Thus licking these worldly affairs, you will die one day.
So God is asking you not to expect the fruit of action. It does not imply that you have to give up the act itself. Sri Ramakrishna said, "You should not abandon the work, but the work should abandon you." How can you feed your stomach if you don't perform any action? Don't expect the result of your activity in all the periods, that is, past, present, and future. Likewise, don't expect the outcome of your action in all states of mind, that is, waking, dream, and sleep. Whether your body exists or not, don't expect the fruit of your action, even in your dream.
Don't become the cause of your action. Even if you get the fruit of your action, don't consider that you have achieved it. If you do so, you will be bound by that action. You have to experience the fruit of it. For example, when a bank manager sanctions a loan to someone who fails to pay it back regularly, The bank manager does not get worried as the person's property is mortgaged against the loan granted. He knows that the bank will look after the matter and therefore does not get worried. But after returning home, he becomes anxious when he learns that some personal loan granted by him is irrecoverable. When the bank money is lost, he resembles a man of steady wisdom who has transcended all the three qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas. However, when it comes to his personal money, he gets worried. Pain and worry arise from the thought that, the money is mine, and I have lent it.
As the mind cannot stop thinking about something or the other, the body cannot refrain from doing some activity or the other as long as it exists. You are inhaling air as well as eating food. Aren't they activities? Hence it has not been advised to abandon the activity. It has only been recommended not to expect the result of the action. Everybody has a destiny that compels them to do a particular work. Do such prescribed activities as per the body's destiny without any expectation. If you expect anything, you will be disappointed when you don't get the desired result. The result will not be more when we expect it, and the result will not be less when we don't expect it. But it is our weakness to think that we will get more results when we expect the same.
Lord Krishna tells Arjuna to work hard. As we are in the state of Arjuna, it applies to us. One cannot think of God and meditate for all 24 hours each day. So, Krishna advises that one must have a mentality to share the joys and sorrows of others, as each one of us is a part of society. Do not do any work for the sake of praise or recognition. By doing such work, one distances himself from God. Each task performed must bear fruit. Make others happy with your work. Then you will win God's grace. Sweet words aside, use your hands also for the benefit of others.
Selfless work involves two aspects. 1. Performing the deeds without any expectation. 2. Not possessing the feeling, I am doing this action. Performing deeds without any expectation implies the path of knowledge. Similarly, when you think, I am not the doer, it means God is the doer. It is only devotion. Thus, if you combine knowledge and devotion and then perform an act, it becomes karma yoga. Here, both devotion and knowledge are being harmonized with karma.
One can get liberated even by treading the path of karma. Swami Shivananda used to say that one need not give up the path of karma. One need not consider the path of karma to be difficult. When we utilize our body, senses, and mind in the work of God, they get purified, and the mind gets introverted. Swami Shivananda's slogan is, Kam me Bhagavan ko dekhna, that is, see God in work. As you adore God through the renovation of a temple or performing a holy bath to the Lord's idol, you should consider even the digging of a tank or constructing a house, or helping someone to be God's work. The world visible to us is but the family of God. It is neither your family nor my family, but it is the family of God alone. Therefore any help done to his family members will reach him only. Bring your mind and senses under control through the path of karma. Introvert them. They should become fit enough to realize the truth. As long as your senses and mind bind you, you will get only disturbance but not peace, not only in this birth but even after 1,000 births.
Whatever work you do it patiently and skillfully. Concentrate upon the work you do. Work perfectly. There should be completeness in it. Even that is a yoga. Performing the job without any expectation is also yoga. Though you don't possess any expectations, you will get the result. As you are not aware of it, you have expectations. While performing that work, you should remain untouched by the merit and demerit arising out of it. You should ensure that you remain unaffected by both the merit and demerit. If you perform the work this way, it constitutes karma yoga.
By performing karma as yoga, you will not be bound by it. Your tendencies get annihilated. New tendencies do not arise, and the old tendencies disappear. So if the work that you are doing is good, do not leave it but perform it with complete dedication. But never leave any task forcefully, for it will come back to you again. So instead, complete the job with dedication, and you will be free from it.
Learn to work in such a manner you will attain God's grace. It is only yoga. There are two gains if you work without expectation. You get the desired result as well as God's grace. But if you have any expectations, you may achieve the desired result, but you will not earn God's grace. God does not care whether you are doing big work or small work. He is only concerned with your intention of doing the work. He grants the result accordingly. Describing who Jiva is and who God is, Swami Vivekananda said, "Selfishness implies Jiva, and selflessness implies God." Your work should reduce your body consciousness. Without reducing body consciousness, you cannot attain self-knowledge.
What is the cause of your bondage? You are bound not by your work but by your attachment. When you are devoid of attachment, you do not require any spiritual practices. The mind cannot move anywhere, even when asked to move. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, "Your mind keeps wandering daily. Watch where the mind goes, withdraw the same, and engage it in contemplation of God. You will attain the mindless state when you stop contemplating upon sensory objects and start contemplating upon the divine. You must withdraw your mind without grumbling when it gets extroverted." Krishna mentions here the medicine for the disease. But what is the reason for the extroversion of the mind? It is because of attachment. It is attachment that brings us sin. It is attachment that brings us death. It is attachment that brings us disease. If someone very loving to you is inflicted with a disease, even you become a patient. If they are inflicted with anxiety, even you become anxious. What is this? If someone very dear to you dies, would you also like to die? All this bondage is due to attachment. All have attachments and aversions. While working for a person you like, the pace of the task is slow as you are happy to do it. But when you do some work for someone you do not like, work is done at an incredible speed as you are not happy doing it. You feel it is a burden. To be free from this world, control your reactions, and excel in any work you do. You need not think big or do something great like Mahatma Gandhi. But you can evolve yourself without attachment and aversion to your task. It applies to all the daily chores as well. Bhagavan Ramana said, "Attachment itself is the greatest sin."
The scriptures say, "Work is worship." But Swami Vivekananda said, "Work without attachment is worship." The serpent whose pangs have been removed cannot harm anyone. Similarly, detached action does not bind you. You may love your children but love them selflessly, that is, possess detached attachment. You are bound only by attachment but not by detached attachment. The mind gets introverted only by detached attachment. Your children will get ruined if you possess attachment for them. You must take care of them to the extent of their basic amenities. You sow the seed into the earth, water the same, and build a fence around it so that the calves may not eat it away. What else can you do other than this? It must grow on its own and yield fruits. The children get educated and settle down in jobs as per their body's destinies. They cannot get success merely on the basis of your encouragement. As your body has a destiny, even their body is driven by destiny.
When Bhagavan Ramana was asked, "What is karma yoga?" he replied, "Action without doership implies karma yoga." In the essence of spiritual instruction, that is, Upadesha Saram, Bhagavan said, "By the law or will of the Creator, the fruits of actions fructify." How is action then supreme? It is not. It is inert. The results of actions are impermanent and pass off. Yet, their seeds form an ocean of karma which becomes a barrier to a seeker's progress. Work performed as an offering to the Almighty, without any expectation of the result, helps to purify the mind. Such a purified mind leads towards liberation or realization.
The mind is not annihilated due to karma or actions. The mind is destroyed only due to Agnihotra karma. Until and unless you get the normal state, the self is not revealed as it is. Agnihotra karma implies that the mind and the mind-related tendencies should get burned due to that action. The wavering of the thinking faculty should get reduced. The thinking faculty should get purified. Vyavasayatmaka buddhi implies pure and steady thinking faculty. It refers to the do or die policy. The mind should attempt to die. The actions performed to eradicate the mind are called Agnihotra karma. Only they can transcend nature whose mind has attained death. The funeral pyre burns the physical body, whereas the Agnihotra karma burns the mind. The Agnihotra karma introverts and purifies the mind and thereby annihilates it. Only then is the truth revealed to you. Whatever you do for the destruction of the mind is referred to as Agnihotra karma. Swim like a fish against the mental current. If the mind obstructs the performance of a good deed, then you should swim against the mind. If you swim against the mental current, the mind reaches its source. Then there is no more rebirth and no more sorrow. All the tendencies that bring about your rebirth get annihilated due to Agnihotra karma.
There is a difference between Agnihotra karma and penance or tapas. When done for a short duration, it is called meditation, and when done for days together, it is called penance. Penance is 100% internal. When selfless work is performed without desire, it becomes Agnihotra karma. Agnihotra karma is much simple and easy when compared to penance. When the mind dies, we attain no mind state and normal state. Agnihotra karma requires external support. Penance done for a long duration also brings you the no mind state.
The secret, as narrated by Lord, is that when you have to perform any work, it is inevitable that you do the same. Therefore, do it willingly rather than doing it unwillingly. For example, there may be some older people in your house. While giving them coffee, give it willingly rather than unwillingly. You cannot escape from the task of giving them coffee. Therefore, offer them coffee with love. Don't grieve for the dead, and regarding those who are alive, don't lament why they are still alive. By doing so, your mind will be thickened. Firstly, your mind should be torn to attain jnana. As the cloth is torn, even if the mind is torn, there is a chance of getting jnana.
You are always habituated to using this I. You even claim the work done by others as done by yourself. God exists but never declares, I exist. He works but never claims that he is working. Leave about the declaration. He does not even think that he exists or is working. If even you behave in such a manner, you become God. That is, you will attain liberation. If you learn to work like God, you will worship God through your work. You have only learned to adore God by lighting a lamp or decorating with flowers. But you have not yet learned to worship God with work. God asks us not to brood over it but to learn at least now to adore Him through work.
Once, Sri Nanagaru asked one of the devotees, I heard that you had done a specific good work. Is it you only who has done the same? The devotee replied, No, Nanagaru. It is not me. Someone gave you wrong information. Sri Nanagaru said, I am very sure that it is you who has done that good work. So why do you want to conceal your name? The devotee replied, Nanagaru, do I need any position or job? Do I get any extra purity on revealing my name? Sri Nanagaru replied, You are right. You will get purity only on doing the selfless work but not by revealing your name.
Jesus said, the charity done by the right hand should not be known even to the left hand. It should be so secretive.
Applying tilak or spot on the forehead is equivalent to applying it to its reflection in the mirror. On the contrary, applying tilak to the reflection is not equal to applying it to the original. Similarly, when we do some charitable work to win the appreciation of the world, they are futile. The disinterested act that gets God's praise is the best among all the charitable work.
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूमा ते संगोत्सु कर्मणि। कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूमा ते संगोत्सु कर्मणि। कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूमा ते संगोत्सु कर्मणि।
Lord Krishna himself was a great karma yogi. He never differentiated whether a particular work was significant or petty. Despite being the Lord of Lords, he removed the remnant plantain leaflets whenever required. He acted as a charioteer to Arjuna in the war of Mahabharata, though being charioteer is considered a very petty job. During the war, he even cleansed his horses and gave them their food. Therefore, let big people be concerned about the great tasks. As we are small people, let's do the small tasks devotedly. Even if it is a very petty job, it purifies us when done without any expectation. Lord Krishna attained the Brahma Karma Samadhi. He remained in the state of samadhi even while performing an action. Lord Krishna remained in samadhi even while fighting on the battlefield. It is the Sahaja Samadhi, the natural state.
Once a devotee asked Bhagavan what is meant by selfless work. Bhagavan did not reply, but went up the holy hill Arunachala. Even the devotee followed him. Bhagavan took a thorny bush and started removing the thorns. It took him 3 to 4 hours of strenuous work to convert the thorny bush into a nice walking stick. Suddenly a passerby shepherd saw the stick in Bhagavan's hands and requested him to give the same. Bhagavan gave away the stick without a second thought. The devotee thus got the answer as to what selfless work means.
Only he who gives up kama, or desire, knows what nishkama or desire-less state is. Mahatma Gandhiji is the symbol of desire-less and selfless work. He declared, "My word is my message. My life is my message." Though he worked for the nation's freedom throughout his life, he did not even participate in the first Independence Day celebrations. When Gandhiji was shot dead, he did not scream out Swaraj, Swaraj. Instead, he said, "Hey Ram, hey Ram." It was possible only due to his selfless work and devotion. Gandhiji neither desired any ministerial positions for himself nor his children.
Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji was a great karma yogi. He was so honest that he resigned as the railway minister, taking up the responsibility for a train accident. Once, Nehru wanted Shastri Ji to accompany him on a foreign tour. But Shastri Ji did not even possess a coat to wear, so it was Nehru who got a coat stitched for him. Shastri Ji liked the potatoes curry. Despite being the Prime Minister of India, he would daily look in the newspaper for the price of potatoes. If he felt the potatoes were too expensive, he instructed his cook not to prepare the potatoes curry. Even if prepared, he would refuse to eat the same. He worked as a minister in several ministries for almost 20 years. Still, there was no money to arrange his funeral when he expired. So the Government of India sponsored the cost involved in the conduct of his funeral rites. Also, the Indian government granted a pension to his spouse as she had no other means of livelihood. Gandhiji did not accept any ministerial post and became a karma yogi, but Shastriji became a karma yogi despite handling various ministerial positions.
Palkhiwala was a great lawyer. He was so intelligent that he had the power to change the destinies of his clients through his arguments. He earned a lot of money and spent the same for the benefit of society. However, he was bedridden in his last days. All his friends and relatives who came to see him used to say, "You are very intelligent and a rich man. You have done a lot of charity." Palkhiwala used to reply, "Currently, I am trying to unite with God. I am not concerned with my education, riches, or charities. What I currently need is the name and form of God. You are trying to remind me of what I want to forget, causing me great harm." Holding their hands, he used to request them, "Don't remind me of unnecessary things and drag me into bondage." Palkhiwala implied, "When I am trying to unite with God, why do you remind me of unnecessary things? Will my money protect me? Will my education protect me? It is only God who can save me. People think education's very purpose is to feed the stomach or earn riches. It is the natural tendency of the world. Education is not solely for feeding the stomach. True education not only earns your livelihood but also purifies you. True education should purify your mind and increase your concentration." Palkhiwala earned money, transcended the same as well as sacrificed it. Such is the glory of Palkhiwala.
Some people perform their work devotedly if it is personal, and neglect the work if it is related to others. It should not be so. You should do the society-related work the same way as your personal work. Sir Cotton is an ideal to us in this regard. He worked very hard in constructing the dam in Dhavaleshwaram. He used limestone as cement was not available in those days. Once, Sir Cotton became sick. He handed over the task to a capable person and left for Switzerland on vacation. But he worried about whether that particular person would perform his duty correctly. Hence he cancelled his leave and returned to Dhavaleshwaram in India. Therefore even today, Sir Cotton is worshipped as Cotton Maharishi in the coastal Andhra region.
Mother Teresa made her life fruitful by rendering unending service to people. She was honored with the Nobel Prize. When asked whether she had any memorable event in her life, she narrated the following incident. "Once, while walking over the road, I saw a 90-year-old woman thrown into a dustbin. She was in such a state that she could not even move her limbs. Then I took her in a rickshaw to our ashram, ensured that she took her bath, changed her clothes, and gave her some food. Then I asked her, 'Who has done this to you? Who has thrown you into the dustbin?' The old lady replied, 'My son has done this to me.' Then I asked her, 'Are you angry with your son?' She replied, 'Yes. I am not even afraid of my death. but my mind is raging with anger towards my son. Then I said, even if you live for a while in this ashram, your death is inevitable. The death of the body is not relevant. The state of your mind and the peace you possess at the time of death is more important. Therefore, rather than being angry in your final moments, it is better to have a peaceful death. I don't want you to die in such a state of anger. All these are but facts of life. Your son indeed caused you great harm. But if you hate him, you will incur a greater harm or loss than that caused by your son. If you die with anger, you will be distanced from your very nature, the self. Therefore, if you forgive your son and die peacefully, you will attain a greater state. I have served you a little. If you have gratitude for me, if you have reverence for me, forgive your son at least for my sake. Then the old woman took a deep breath and uttered with a great sigh, I forgive my son. Then she died within a few moments. Thus Mother Teresa changed the lives of several people like the above woman through her selfless service.
Kamaraj was the president of the Indian National Congress. He was the mastermind in making Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji and Indira Gandhi the Prime Ministers of India. He even became the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. There was a slogan, "The rule of Kamaraj resembles the rule of Lord Rama." Kamaraj was not much educated. When asked how he could manage despite not being educated, he replied, "It is due to common sense." Kamaraj was a bachelor. When he expired, there was merely a balance of 700 rupees in his bank account. Hence the government of India sponsored his funeral rites.
Warren Buffett is a multimillionaire who donates 70% of his earnings to charity. He does not make direct donations to people but makes donations through institutions involved in social welfare. Thus, he ensures that his name remains unrevealed in all his donations. Warren Buffett is always calm and has no exhibition. His site is executive class, and life is economic class. He lives in a simple house consisting of 4 bedrooms. He uses a car worth 4 lakhs. Whenever he travels by flight, he travels by the economic class.
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुर्भू मा ते संगोस्त्वकर्मणि कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुर्भू मा ते संगोस्त्वकर्मणि कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफल हेतुर्भू मा ते संगोस्त्वकर्मणि।
In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna, "Who is the most intelligent one?" Krishna replied, "He is intelligent, who sees action in inaction, and inaction in action."
Lord Krishna said, "You have devotion for God but not devotion for your duty?"
The Lord states, practice virtue. Don't depend upon others for your livelihood. Help others become self-dependent. Remember me in the leisure time. Lead your life according to my liking and thereby get liberated.
Work so that you earn sufficient enough for your livelihood. Utilize your time selflessly for the sake of society to a certain extent. Your consciousness level will increase if you utilize God-given opportunities for society's sake. Remember God in your leisure or spare time.
If you expect honor in return for any good deed, you may be honored. You may earn merit but not self-knowledge. Contrarily, if you work for the sake of work without expectation, then you will attain self-knowledge.
Do the work in hand boldly and with confidence. Don't get worried that someone is criticizing the same. It represents timidity. You should not leave courage and tolerance. You can be blissful even in society if you are courageous, tolerant, and peaceful.
In the Gita, the Lord said, "Everyone works as per their liking. But you will attain liberation if you work as per my liking."
Gandhiji has named Bhagavad Gita as Anasakti or disinterested yoga. If you live without any expectation and don't possess any expectation towards the fruit of your action, you will attain the fearless state.
As the leaves get ripened, they begin to fall. Even so, when your actions get expended, your thoughts get dissolved.
The person who works without expectation gets the same result as the one who follows the path of meditation or devotion.
Some people work for hours together but never look tired. They remain tranquil and undisturbed. As we cannot attain steadfast consciousness relating to God, we are getting tired. We get tired only when we think, "I am doing the work."
Don't think a vagabond who roams without doing anything has dispassion. He is lazy, that's all. The one who has dispassion does any job effectively. Such people prove to be more beneficial to society.
When a service is done to others, the benefactor gains only by 10%, whereas the bestower of service gains by 90%. The reason being the bestower of service becomes purified through his service. If this is known, none will refrain from doing the disinterested service.
If you utilize all your God-gifted noble qualities for the sake of society, God will grant you a noble birth the next time. Expect nothing from society. If you expect, you will be caught and bound.
True dispassion is never displayed outwardly. It is also wealth. It is only due to a lack of dispassion that we do not listen to the words of God. Dispassion is developed by being desireless towards the fruit of action.
When you think you must perform profound work, you require patience, endurance, efficiency, and faith. The seeds of karma are destroyed for the one who gives up the fruits of action. When you stop thinking of the fruits of your actions, the tendencies do not get strengthened.
What have ritualistic sacrifices got to do with a person who has no body consciousness? Yagna, in a true sense, implies working selflessly. The sole purpose of yagna is the destruction of body consciousness.
Good deeds by themselves do not bring you liberation. They only increase your yearning for self-realization.
Where will you run away, abandoning your work? By doing so, you will only gain laziness and not self-knowledge. The Lord said, "I have nothing to earn or attain in this creation by doing work. Still, I am working." The people would think that if Krishna himself is not working, why should we work? Therefore the Lord declared that he is working. The work should give up man, but a man should not give up work.
You are working, and you get some results out of it. You will not get more if you desire, and you will not get less if you don't desire. What has to come will undoubtedly come. Your thinking faculty will not be purified if you expect the result. Do your work with a steady mind or equanimity and ensure its outcome will not touch you. The ability to work in such a manner is a skill or kaushalam. Your thinking faculty will be purified if you work in such a manner.
The only reason for your downfall is that you lack responsibility. You work when your boss is beside you. Else, you will stop working. Your work depends upon somebody watching or not watching you. Why should you bother about that somebody? The one who is truly watching is within you. He is the indwelling God. He is not outside us. If you get any thought, He can see it entirely. He is God. He exists in all the periods, that is, past, present, and future, in all the states of mind, that is, waking, dream and sleep, and in all the places.
We only deserve to work, but the result is not in our hands. Therefore, we should offer all our actions to God. Work to attain God's grace and thereby attain His grace. As it is easy to purchase the things in the market when we possess money, it is equally easy to get liberated when we have the grace of God. Therefore, your thought, word, and deed should help you attain God's grace.
Keep doing the work allocated to you by God. Don't consider all the work done to earn your livelihood as selfless work. Don't depend upon others for the sake of your livelihood. You will become a slave if you depend upon others for your livelihood. While working for your livelihood, don't consider that you are reforming the nation or performing selfless work. If you work silently, resembling God's work without show-off, ego, and selfishness, only then can it be called selfless work.
You don't get fear out of your work. On the contrary, you get anxious when you think the work will not be successful. However, even in such a situation, if you remain fearless, God's grace will shower upon you. Whatever you fear, God converts the same into a favorable situation. But we can't say when He will interfere and give a turning point to your life.
A person who accepts bribes and considers himself to be one among the majority is much better than a person who does not accept any bribes but develops the ego that he is an honest man. Similarly, one should be very alert in practicing karma yoga or the yoga of disinterested action. If they develop the egoism of doing a good deed, it will do them more harm than good.
It is better to live like a serpent in a dark cave rather than living like a person who fulfills his own selfish motives, neglecting others' welfare. You are tranquil and pure when you perform the holy bath, Abhisheka, to Lord Shiva in the temple. Remain equally serene and peaceful even in the discharge of your duties. Do not do any work with reluctance, fretting, and fuming. Do it with whole inclination. Do it as yoga.
After experiencing the happiness arising from performing good deeds, you desire to experience the same joy again and again. This desire gets converted into a tendency that becomes the root cause for rebirth. This is the danger involved in performing good deeds. Therefore, good deeds need to be performed without expectation of result and doership.
We should work without thinking of the result of the action. When we do a task as an offering to Lord and place the result at His feet, He expands the result limitlessly and gives it back to us. Only in desireless action does an individual gain weight. The one who works with a longing for its fruit is light-weighted and is so hollow that he is blown away. He cannot descend into the heart.
You can work, but first understand the methodology to work. Work done without doership is equivalent to not being done, it cannot bind you. The Brahman within does not think, I do, I enjoy. Only you think, I do, I enjoy. If you stop thinking thus, you will become Brahman. A quote from Sadhguru Sri Nanagaru's speech.
Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna
सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वर्पत्या जिहेतवे
नापातय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णा वयं नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
पितमात स्वामी सखा हमारे
पितमात स्वामी सखा हमारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। गीता में उपदेश सुनाया तुमने सोया विश्व जगाया।
गीता में उपदेश सुनाया तुमने सोया विश्व जगाया।
फल इच्छा से रहित कर्म को हर मानव का धर्म बताया।
हर मानव का धर्म बताया।
रहेंगे हम सब ऋणी तुम्हारे।
रहेंगे हम सब ऋणी तुम्हारे।
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
पितमात स्वामी सखा हमारे।
पितमात स्वामी सखा हमारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। राधे कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण
राधे कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे कृष्ण राधे